Canalave City! Let's get this show on the road. There are a few places of note to visit here, but there is one that we can't actually get into. There is some sort of hotel at the northern end of town, and if you have the member card, which is an event item, you can go in there, have a sort of creepy scene that has you go to New Moon Island, and then you can catch Darkrai there. And basically that's all there is to it. Not very complicated, but that's the only way you can get Darkrai legitimately. Unless there's an event that distributed Darkrai itself, but otherwise it's the only way. And I just got the Skill Swap TM, which obviously now I'm never going to use because Skill Swap is already really gimmicky competitively in-game. It's a complete waste of a move slot. Of course, it may come in handy sometimes, but not nearly enough to warrant actually using it. Anyway, this is the local Pokemart here, and yeah, the people here are talking a lot about Iron Island because Canalave City is the only way through to Iron Island. You have to take a boat to get there, and oh, we got a pretty nifty selection of items here. Unfortunately, well, let's see what they got here, but yeah, no dusk balls. I knew it was too good to be true. And if you think I'm putting a lot of emphasis on dusk balls, well, let's be honest, they are that good. And, oh, okay, yeah, he's the move deleter. I was wondering what was going on with this guy, but yeah, he's the move deleter. We're not gonna be using his services quite yet, though we will soon, because there is a shiny stone in Iron Island, and Togekiss can learn Air Slash through the move relearner, which means we're going to need to come back here soon enough to delete Fly in order to make room for Air Slash. You didn't think I was going to keep Fly the whole game, were you? Okay, so just a little bit of healing because we got a Barry battle coming pretty soon. No, I didn't forget about this for those of you who were wondering. And yeah, blah blah blah, Iron Island, blah blah blah. That's all they're talking about in this freaking town. Come on, there's a gym, there's a library, there's this creepy hotel no one can get into. Okay, and why use the memo pad for remembering to get a Strength HM from Iron Island? And by the way, in Platinum, Iron Island is where you get the Strength HM. In Diamond and Pearl, we would have gotten it a long time ago because it was in the Lost Tower, just past Heart Home, so yeah, they moved it for whatever reason. It's not like an 80 power normal type move with no added effect was game breaking in any way, but then again, I'm not the one designing the games, so I really don't know what they were thinking there. And it's not like there's this big ceremony involved. And okay, so yeah, this is the hotel that I was talking about, and of course we can't get in there, as I said before. And so I mean, yeah, I'm putting Vaporeon in the lead because we're gonna fight Barry on this bridge here, and he leaves with his Staraptor once again. So, since Vaporeon is the only one that can hit it for super effective damage, then I don't think it's gonna hurt to put it in the lead. My brand new gym badge. Yeah, you got it before me. So what? Big deal. I got a much better team than you anyway. But yeah, his levels haven't increased a lot since the last time we met him, but he did evolve most of his Pokemon. So now we're gonna Ice Beam this Staraptor, probably for a one-hit KO, since, well, I've already said it a million times, but Staraptor isn't exactly known for its bulk. Even though Intimidate helps, it's only for the physical side of things, and Vaporeon's a special Pokemon through and through. Roserade, I didn't think he evolved that one, so anyway, doesn't really matter. Let's burn it using Togetic. I got the choice between Fly and Flamethrower. I'm going to go with Flamethrower because I don't want to take the risk of, one, Fly missing, because it can miss, 95 accuracy, remember, and two, I don't know which ability it has, if it's Natural Cure or Poison Point, and Since Fly's a contact attack, I don't want to take any chances and get my Togetic poisoned for nothing. Okay, so now it's time for Torterra to do its job and knock out that Floatzel. Floatzel is, once again, not a very bulky Pokemon, so Razor Leaf should take care of it pretty easily. It is a fast motherfucker, though, so yeah, I was sort of worried that maybe it could go first and use Ice Fang on me, but since there's no rain, that 20 level advantage did come in really handy. And now we're going to send back Togetic, since up next we have Heracross, which has a quadruple weakness to flying and a double weakness to flamethrower, but we're going to go with Fly here, just because I like overkilling stuff like Heracross. Alright, so yeah, I guess this is going to kill it. I wonder how many times over I just killed it with that Fly. There's no real way of knowing, and that's why, you know that strict damage clause thing on simulators? That's why it's there. So you're not allowed to get an approximation of your Pokemon's power if you couldn't see it in the game. So that's why this thing exists, even though I never got what it was called, a clause, but whatever, I'll come back to it later, maybe. Because we got one last Pokemon to take down, and I guess Surf is gonna do it. Yeah, sort of boring having Pokemon in the late 30s against Pokemon in the mid 50s. But then again, I guess even if it was 5-on-3, it was just completely lopsided. Yeah, a bit better than me. Dream on! Who's gonna take on the Pokemon and become the champion? It's me. My brain just exploded. You guessed right, and then he says it's going to be me. Whatever. I was just sort of joking around because he's never going to defeat the Pokemon League. His next action in this game is going to be getting trounced by Jupiter anyway, so he's got no chance. Anyway, this is the Canalave Library, the largest library in the world. As you can see, loads and loads and loads of books. There aren't many books that you can actually read. I think there are several, but they're not on this floor. Anyway, for the strict damage clause thing I was talking about, for those of you who never played on a simulator, there's this thing called the strict damage clause. What it does is basically that, let's say you're facing a Pokemon that has 45% HP left. Well, if you kill it, it's only going to tell you did 45% of damage, instead of, if it would have been like 75% damage that you inflicted, it's still gonna say 45 because it only had 45 left. And since, wait a minute, I'm just wondering if, nah, it's nothing special. I was wondering maybe if there was a TV in the library, if maybe it would be something special, but no, I guess not. Anyways, I was saying, because the games never show you the overkill damage that you do, it only makes sense that the simulators wouldn't either. So that's what strict damage clause is, for those of you who were wondering. Okay, Canalave's Pier. Not Pyre, as I pronounced it in the last video. Sorry about that. Be sure to explore every nook and cranny. Well, that's what we're doing right now. And I think this is the place with the books that you can read. We're just gonna take a gander at these books. I know there are several, but it's still fairly interesting stuff because it helps the world come more alive. Sinnoh Region's mythology. Long ago, when Pokemon had just been made, led separate lives. Team Plasma's dream, folks. They could just build a time machine and all their problems would be solved. Yippee. Okay, a Pokemon proposed to the others to always be ready to help humans. Okay. Pokemon appear to us if we venture into tall grass. Not to nitpick, but what about all those warnings that Pokemon in the tall grass were dangerous if you didn't have Pokemon of your own? So basically what you're telling me is that those warnings are bullshit and that the Starlies and Bidoof in the tall grass aren't there to beat you within an inch of your lives, but rather to help you? What the fuck, game? Way to contradict yourself. Okay, 3 Pokemon there were. Okay, so this book here is about the Pixie Trio, Uxie, Mesprit, and Zelf. Okay, from the lake floor they rise. Okay. I think this is referring to the fact that at this stage in the game, the islands where the Pixies reside are at the bottom of each lake, but those islands can start floating on the lakes when the time is right, namely after you've caught your version mascots in this game's case. And okay, this is something that probably doesn't have anything to do with the game's story, but let's take a look at it nonetheless, because that kind of stuff, as I said before, it helps the world feel more alive, you know, folk stories and the likes. Even if they don't have any incidents on the game's events, it's still really cool. Okay, you like to keep reading? Well, hey, why not? I'm not about to read this much and then just miss the punch at the end of the story. Though I can imagine some of you saying, "Stop reading those books, stupid! They're boring!" But, you know, as I said before, I want to show you every nook and cranny of this universe, because it really is a very well done universe, especially in the later games where they really started putting more effort, more attention into its details. Okay, so we got the Pokemon's rendition of the Genesis here. An egg. The egg gave rise to the original one, which, as we've seen before, is the name that this game gives to Arceus, 2 being the original one made. Okay, so that's Dialga and Palkia, 3 living things the original one did make. That... Okay, so the 2 are Dialga and Palkia, and the 3 are Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. I wonder why Giratina is never ever mentioned in those tales. Maybe because it lives in an alternate universe and never really appears in this one. And okay, this here is about Uxie. This story here is actually fairly important in Mystery Dungeon 2's plotline. Okay, so this part here is about Mesprit, and I imagine this one is going to be about Azelf. Yep. So, as I was saying, the bit about if you look into Uxie's eyes, you're going to lose your memory. This was actually mentioned in Mystery Dungeon 2 and was fairly important early in the game. Okay, so here's another book that really doesn't have anything to do with the game's story, but maybe someone can actually find a way to tie those little stories into the game's story, but I don't have quite the imagination to do that kind of thing. And by the way, just as an apology for dragging those of you who were unwilling to do so here into this library, reading everything, I'm going to do a double program so you at least get some action today. Even though I don't really have to, because there was a rival battle earlier. There once were humans and Pokemon that ate together at the same table. You know, I don't know why, but I just had this funny visual in my mind of you know those pictures of the Last Supper? For some reason I'm imagining one such picture with Jesus, and instead of a bunch of people, there are a whole lot of Pokemon with Jesus. Well, I don't know why I thought of this. It's just completely random, but really, whatever. So, we got the Canalave gym here. I could go in there right now, but I'm not feeling like it, especially since Lucario is going to dominate this place with Steel being weak to fighting and all. And it's also naturally going to be very convenient for giving Lucario some levels. Obviously, I'm going to train it a little outside of the gym, because first I need to evolve it, then get it to a decent level where it can actually kill something in the gym. No thanks. I don't even want to know what you are going to ask me. I'm just going to turn around and run the hell away. So I'm going to save this video and I'll come right back for 15 more minutes of Pokemon.